Good evening. Good evening. My name is Lindy McClintock. I teach physical education right here at Tilford Elementary, and I am also the president of the Vinton-Shellsburg Education Association. Since we had so many candidates running for school board, we decided to have a little forum here and ask them some questions so you could get to know them a little better. We are missing one candidate tonight, Justin Noshfish. He had a prior commitment, so he will not be joining us tonight. We're going to get started, and each candidate is going to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about whatever they feel they'd like to. So we'll start with Braxton.
My apologies, I am going to read off of a sheet here. I feel like these are valid and important points to make sure that I convey, and if I don't read off the sheet, I will totally space on it. My name is Braxton Morrison. I went to Vinton-Shellsburg Community School District during my entire childhood and graduated from Vinton-Shellsburg High School in 2010. After that, I served in the United States Army and did one combat deployment to Afghanistan. Since being discharged from the military, my experience has been largely in law enforcement and emergency medical services, both of which I still actively serve in. I also have a background in education, briefly at the high school level and more so at the collegiate and adult level through my personal training company and teaching for community colleges in emergency medical services instruction. I believe deeply in the importance of education, as I'm currently a PhD student for a human services degree through Walden University. And then I have a bachelor's and master's and associates as well in first responder related topics. My brother and sister, who are in the back there in the corner hiding, are 13 years old and live with me. We do reside here in Vinton. They've lived with me for 3 years. I'm from Vinton and have lived here almost my entire life, aside from the military and then a couple of law enforcement jobs I did move out of town for. We have 2 dogs who we enjoy spending time with. We enjoy outdoor activities such as fishing, kayaking, hiking, playing catch outside, anything like that. And then anything fitness related, we're very active. We do challenges and numerous physical activity related events. And then as a family, we believe in education a lot as well. We're lifelong learners, and we are very active in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People roles and material, and 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families as well.
Good evening.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Because of the camera, do you mind sitting?
Yeah.
So that everyone can see it. So if you got cut off on, there's 21 people online. Sorry.
Got it. Good evening. My name is Kimberly Sherm. I graduated from Vinton-Shellsburg in 2006. I currently live outside of Garrison with my husband, Dustin, and our 3 children. We have a first grader, a 3-year-old, and a 2-month-old, very new. After graduating from high school, I went to the University of Iowa, where I received a degree in journalism and mass communication. It was there that I found a real passion for higher education and decided to go to UNI, where I received a master's degree in post-secondary education student affairs. When I worked at UNI, I worked specifically as an academic advisor, where I worked with deciding students. So students that really didn't know what they wanted to do in terms of academics or a career, and I kind of helped them navigate that process. I also taught first-year transitional courses there, where I worked with first-year students, again, who I helped them overcome homesickness, help them get involved, meet new friends, just certain things like that. Since then, I have worked a little bit with the Vinton-Shellsburg School District on their VS Road to Success program, where I did kind of similar work as what I was doing at UNI, where I worked with junior and senior age students and helped them, again, kind of figure out what was the best path for them following high school. So navigating, financial aid and figuring out if they want to enter the workforce or 2-year community college, 4-year school, whatever it might be, helping them navigate that process. So I have a real passion for helping students.
Hi, my name is Jenny Berker. My husband Scott and I farm just outside of Vinton, between Vinton and Garrison. We're both Vinton-Shellsburg graduates, born and raised here in Vinton. 3 kids in the district across 3 buildings this year. Last year we had someone in Shellsburg. This year all 3 of them are in Vinton. We have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and a 3rd grader here at Tilford. Over the years, I've been a volunteer in different capacities across the district, whether it's a classroom volunteer, going on field trips, things like that. Served on the SIAC committee probably 12 years ago. Also on the farm to school committee and some other smaller committees as well. Outside of our VS committee, I am a board member on the Iowa Beef Industry Council, where we oversee state and national beef checkoff dollars and budgets. And I also serve as a director of the Federation of State Beef Councils at the national level, where we oversee national checkoff dollars and national program funding. My experience on these boards and my degree in accounting, I hope to bring to the Vinton-Shellsburg School Board as a tool that I can use to utilize just different ways of looking at a budget and larger budgets in general, as well as we have to work within the constraints of government funding and USDA oversight and state regulation parameters, which also carry over into a school budget environment. In my day job, I'm a green marketing advisor. We work with farmers to find true break-evens and sell their products at profitable levels. So I hope I can bring my experience to the school board and use it to help provide students and teachers with the best tools they can to be the best school possible.
I'm Darren Humiston, grew up in Des Moines, went to Iowa State, met Stephanie Wallace from Strawberry Point, Iowa, at Iowa State. We did ROTC. We both were commissioned in the Air Force back in 1994. She was fighter maintenance was her job, and I was an AWACS guy, surveillance officer. Flew 15 years, absolutely loved the Air Force, had a blast. About 6 years into our service, we were married, started having kids. We realized both of us deploying to the desert didn't really work out with babies around the house. So Stephanie left the Air Force, supported me for a long career, and I really enjoyed it. We have 3 kids. So Caitlin graduated from the high school here last spring. Victoria, thanks for coming. Victoria's in the audience here, so she is a sophomore. And then Caleb is a 5th grader. Family is very important to me. So along the way, Stephanie and I both got our masters, and education's always been important. So we realized when Caitlin was in 8th grade, she had been in 7 school districts in 6 states. So being in the Air Force was great. We loved it, but it kind of comes with a family cost. And we just didn't want to be those parents that pull their kid out of high school and send them to another high school, and sometimes even a 3rd. So that was our decision to come back. So in 2015, we started looking at Des Moines or Vinton. We really love the school district. About 110 kids in a graduating class suits us very well, much better than my 500 where I went in Des Moines. So we moved back in 2017, really enjoyed the school district. The high school always scores in the top 3rd in the state. Obviously Tilford, comes in with the Blue Ribbon Award. So we just want to serve the school district and try to make a strong school district even better. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Audra Piatti, and my husband, Jimmy Kelly, and I have lived in the community for 13 years now. All lived together, especially with my kids. I'm originally from the Northeast, and I'm one of those individuals who moved halfway across the country for a guy. He's from Iowa City, but it worked out though. We have 2 children. Juniper's in kindergarten, and our oldest, Lila, is in 4th grade. I moved here for Jimmy, but what moved us and brought us to Vinton was the AmeriCorps NCLC campus. I started there 13 years ago as the assistant program director for training. And in that position, I'm responsible for training, curriculum development, facilitation, member development, and service learning. And service learning is definitely my passion. In that role, I have learned the importance of being a steward of the government dollar. As a federal employee, I understand the ethics, the morals, the transparency that's needed in that position, and also what it's like to represent something larger than yourself on a regular basis. Since my children have been a part of the school district, I've been volunteering, whether it's in the classroom with the Junior Achievement Program, the Scholastic Book Club fairs, which truly is just like a childhood dream. I've loved those since I was little. And also I organized the 2 PTO events, the 2 PTO movie nights here that we had at Tilford.
Okay, and now we're going to get into the questions. Question number 1. What are your reasons for seeking a position on the Vinton-Shellsburg School Board?
I am running for a position on the school board because I really believe in the value and importance of public education, not only because it affects our students academically, but also it shapes them into who they're going to be socially, emotionally, and mentally. I really believe that the school board plays a large role in the public education system and is something to be really valued. I bring a really unique perspective coming from higher education, from that realm, and have worked with a lot of different families and students from all over the state and have seen the different resources and opportunities that can be given to our students to help them succeed. And I have a real desire to learn and from others and collaborate with people on the school board and within our school district and community, and to really focus on moving the school district forward and to really focus on the longevity of the school district.
My reason for running for school board, it's been in the back of my mind for several years. Entertained it briefly during the last election. We had a little one at home, and for me, it just wasn't going to be the right time. And now, this June, I learned that some board members weren't seeking re-election, and so it seemed like the natural step to take now that my kids are older. We have one of the best school districts in the state. As was mentioned earlier, we were in at Telford and our test scores, rank above average when we look at those. So just wanting to continue what our board and our administration and our staff have done and watch the school grow and really grow and develop into something bigger and more further beyond than what any of us can think of right now. My location in the district was another motivating factor. We're a rural family, and while there are a couple seats on the board for people who live within city limits, we don't have anything that's specific to rural representation. We live between Vinton and Garrison, and with that comes a lot of things that families that live within, specifically within Vinton or within Shellsburg, if your children are going there, you don't necessarily think about until your kids are on a bus. So transportation issues, before and after school things, stuff like that, I can lend a little bit of light to those aspects. We also have 3 kids in our house, 2 of which are unique learners, utilizing both ELP and 504 programs. So that's given me a window into those programs and the amazing things our district offers, but yet also a few holes where if you don't have a good advocate at home for you, where kids might fall through the cracks.
So I'm going to serve on the school board because my wife and I and kids, we've been coming back to Vinton really for the last 20 years when we're on active duty. We come back to visit my in-laws, Stephen and Wallace. Linda had been a media specialist here in the school district for a lot of years. So I heard about teachers doing a great job and the school district being strong. Frankly, back in 2015, when we started looking at property, I started looking up how well the schools were actually doing. I was very pleased that they were consistently in the top third, sometimes in the top 10. Top 10% for Iowa. So that really got me thinking. And then we moved back in 2017. We've kind of gotten established. And then Mike Timmermans came up to me at church and said, hey, I'm stepping down. Maybe you should think about volunteering. And that really got me thinking about it. Frankly, I've benefited from the hard work of the school board, teachers and faculty. Don't want to say I took it for granted, but it's been nice having the school board as strong as it is. And then I just felt like this is a good time for me right now. I've been with my current job for a few years, so I work from home for a San Diego firm. So I'm fortunate that I am at home and have opportunities to volunteer. We hope to get a chance to serve on the school board. To be honest, my wife and I coach flag football and baseball. So if we get elected, that's great. If not, we'll be knocking on the door 2 years from now, running again.
I started attending school board meetings 5 years ago when my children entered the school. It was a way for me to stay informed and educated on my children's educational experience, but also have a better understanding of what the district was facing, the challenges that they had to experience every day, but also what they were persevering. Through the years of sitting in on these different sessions, I've been able to listen to the school administrators, hear about all the different things that are happening within the different buildings, not just learn about the one building that my children were at. I was also able to have an opportunity to observe the current boards who have served and witness their interaction, discussion, and learn more about the decision-making process that's required when sitting on the board. It's not just about pushing your agenda or making a decision, but there's a lot of restraints, especially when it comes to finance. And so it's been great being able to observe those pieces. Again, it gave me insight into how I could support the community. And I've always been a big fan of volunteering. It was a huge part of my culture growing up. I've been volunteering since I was little. You know, and here, when I moved to Vinton, we volunteered with Vinton Parks and Rec Department. And this is a way to continue to give it forward. I think it's important to be an active citizen, but what that looks like can be different for everybody. It could be picking up trash on your walk home. It could be shoveling your neighbor's driveway, helping shuffle your friend's kids to a practice. But right now I have the time and energy to serve my community in this way, and that's why I'm running.
I will not lie and say that I've always been active in school boards or schools. Until 3 years ago, I was not living here. I was living elsewhere, working law enforcement, and I did not have any kids, so I was a single 25-year-old guy. But then I got 3 kids or 2 kids, and obviously that made me get involved in the school district again. Since then, I've learned a lot about the school district again after being gone for 8-10 years. The reason I decided to get involved in the school board, originally it was absolutely because of COVID and procedures and policies that were looking at being enacted or had been enacted, etc. However, as I've met with some current board members, as I've spoken with a few teachers, I think that as someone who is not shy, very direct demeanor, I decided that I could provide a really good voice for parents who necessarily don't want to run for school board or who don't have the time, whereas I do, and all parents need a voice. So I think with some of the stuff that's going on at the federal level and the local level, that was my main decision. Again, as I've met with these teachers, I've learned of some other issues and things that people consider issues, and I agree with them. One being, I'm a very big proponent of wellness, and I've already became a member of the wellness committee through our school district, and I plan on serving on that committee, whether elected to the board or not. I care deeply about the community of Vinton and surrounding areas. They were my home for a very long time, and they're my home again, and they will be for the foreseeable future. Maintaining and continuing to grow our school district will continue to be a direct reflection of our local society. These are the children that are going to grow up, graduate, and go into the community, and we hope that they serve as productive members of society, and to be a part of that process would be an honor. Sorry.
Okay, question number 2. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses of our district?
We are, like we've said before, I mean, you've heard it 5 times up here already, we are one of the best school districts in the state, and that's just undeniable. If you look at our test scores, if you look at our leadership, united leadership and staff with the community is what makes all of that possible. Without your administration and your teachers working together, without your community working to support your students, those test scores are not going to happen. And that's the measuring stick that we get measured by all the time. And so having those great teachers and that great administration and the community support makes a lot of great advocates for all of our kids. Awesome, please. Our 2021 test scores, they did show some holes left by COVID when the kids got sent home. That for some of our younger learners, those were really formidable moments of experience that they missed in those couple months. And so to fill in those holes moving forward, just to provide our teachers with the support that maybe when you get a 4th grader that miss something in second grade or third grade, that while that's not the area that they're teaching, that to be able to fill that in, to be able to identify those and follow those kids going forward, you know, whether it's a third grader, a fourth grader, or a 10th grader, just being mindful of that and having those tools there to address those issues that may arise. And also to be aware of our building's ages and maintenance issues that could be coming up, transportation issues, things like that, and just to always be budget minded and to be on the forefront of those things before they become a problem.
So I think strengths for the school district, to be honest, last year I was impressed with the teachers and the staff and the faculty, the way they pulled together, and our kids were able to be in school all last year. I think that is fantastic. You know, the efforts to give them prom so they could drive around and at least get together and socialize. You know, I know there was a dance in the spring out in the parking lot that I chaperoned that was a blast. So, you know, to be very frank, you know, our California and our Virginia friends were just completely shocked that our kids had sports last year and that they got to come to class, you know, and sure it was a mask, but they still got to come to class. We were enormously proud of our school district for that. Not a lot of was known about COVID back then. And the decision to go ahead and offer the hybrid option and the in-class option was very important to Stephanie and I. So to me, I think that innovation and that can-do attitude is very important. And that's one of the strengths we really have as a school district. For challenges that I'd like to help with, kind of like what Jenny had mentioned, you know, I'm on the School Improvement Advisory Committee, and it's really concerning when you look at the disparity in the classroom right now, the fast bridge testing that took place this fall. A lot of kids, especially in the early grades, first, second, and third, they're behind in language arts, they're behind in math, because at those really early grades, you really need a talented, quality teacher pointing things out to you and kind of teaching you how to learn, you know, especially in those young grades. And we see those kids are behind right now. I'm confident we can get them caught up at the end of the year with everyone's hard work. But what that takes is resources, tier two and three resources. Do we have enough teachers? Do they have enough time to really focus on the kids and help them catch up? I think that's very important, not only for their confidence, but their self-esteem. Whether your students are going to college or they're going into vocational training, doesn't matter. We want successful, confident students. I also think some of the faculty have mentioned to me that a lack of daycare in Vinton can be a challenge. And sometimes kids go to kindergarten, they're a little behind. That's something I think as a school board, we can work with the community and hopefully improve that opportunity.
I think our greatest weakness by far is the staff. My children love coming to school every single day, and it's because of the teachers and staff. For instance, my kindergartner, when I asked her who she wanted to invite to her birthday party, rattles off Miss Pippin, Miss Roster, Miss Trinkle, Miss Norris, and Miss McDaniel before she named any child. My oldest, she prefers supporting and helping the kitchen staff during recess or going and working with Miss Wiley. Having my children enjoy coming to school, but knowing that they love the people that they interact with, like the adults that they interact with, I think is incredible because you are always mentoring and supporting them. The education that we've received, whether it's a teacher who's been here for 20 years plus, or someone who it's their first year, and not just that, but navigating COVID, has been so impressive. And I think that's what our greatest weakness is. Our staff and teachers are not superheroes. They can't do it all, and they do so much. And the social emotional needs, even those of my own children, are things that I think wear on, not so much wear on them, but there's one more thing that they're managing in addition to the academic needs that we know are present. And so I think working to create better resources and support systems to address the mental health and social and emotional needs of our children is critical and something that we need to take a look at. Other weaknesses would be our dropout rate, but our strength with that is our West campus. West does such incredible things, and we are so lucky to have it present. There's so much that this school district does, and I think as we continue to get that information out, our district can continue to grow. But I think we have to be mindful of that growth. We're already faced with bumper crop, younger and early education classes. We do have needs, and I think a lot of them are associated with COVID, but I think it's also the student and teacher ratios.
Again, I won't pretend that I have expert knowledge in school districts. This would really be pretty much my first time serving in a school district. It's not student related. However, I do serve on other boards and committees at the national and local levels. Again, from speaking with teachers and current board members, a common issue that seems to be of importance, as Darren mentioned, was retention of students along with daycare for people. And it seems to be that there's a higher number of people who live elsewhere, such as Cedar Rapids, who may have to go to work and have trouble finding daycare, so they open enroll their students. I think we, from what I understand, are developing plans of working with the city and the Parks and Rec Department on the hopefully upcoming wellness center to have something maybe like a daycare in there to address that type of issue. From another issue that from my background I see is as a weakness, and it worries me, is our lack of visual preparedness. Meaning, aside from the bleeding control kits that you may see when you walk in around the schools, they're in certain places. That was an idea I brought to Mary Jo Hainstock several years ago, was getting those kits installed. My hope was that that would have grown much larger. If you, without going into too much detail, you think about a tornado ripping through a wing of the high school when the school is in session. I promise the first responders that are local to you within 20 minutes are not going to be able to effectively treat and stabilize all the people who, all the victims that there could be. Strengths. I worked as a part of the school district. I now serve as a volunteer middle school strength and conditioning coach and have never seen a group of faculties more involved and dedicated to student success than teachers here at Vinton-Shellsburg School District. This has been reaffirmed throughout this process by multiple board members reaching out to mentor me and ask if I have any questions to go through things so that I'm prepared if I do get elected to board.
I think one of the greatest strengths of our school district is the open line of communication that we have. As a parent, I always feel like I can contact my daughter's teacher or staff or administrators and express any concerns or ask any questions that I might have. Another strength that I think is really unique to Vinton-Shellsburg is the community. I think we have a really great relationship between the school district and community, and one that benefits both of them. The community provides a lot of support and involvement to our school district, and I think that's something that you don't always find other places. Another strength, I think, is our staff. We have a lot of staff that have been here for a very long time that take a lot of pride in what they do and have seen a lot of students and families move through the school district, and that's something that's really important. A few areas that I think we could work on. One would be making sure that we continue to focus on the student from a holistic perspective. So not just academically, but also take into their mental health, their social, their emotional skills. Make sure we're looking at approaching them from a whole, looking at them as a whole. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the next area, which is trying to get every single student through the school system. So making sure that we're focusing on getting students to that graduation. I think that's really critical for our students to find success when they're in high school, but also to find their fulfillment after and their purpose after they graduate. And then one other area that I think is always important to note is school spirit. I think we have great school spirit here, but I also think it should always be encouraged that our students go out and support one another, that our staff goes out, that our community members go out and are present and go out and support different athletic events and music events. And because I think that's contagious. And I think once you get that in a school system, I think it just builds off of itself and can promote a really positive environment for everyone.
Okay, the final question of the evening is, what do you believe is the role of a school board member?
So I think the most important role of a school board member is to listen to parents and listen to teachers and help find solutions. I think a lot of the things we see in the news that are really disturbing around the country, where school boards are having trouble with really raucous discussion, and then they choose to have meetings in the future without parents present, really bothers me. I think personal freedom is very important. I think parents are the right ones. They know the needs of their child, and they're the right advocate, and we need to see ourselves as potential school board members as someone who's gonna listen and take that opinion and respect it, whether we agree with it or not, and try to make a decision that's right for the school and for most of the students. I think that's the focus. Sue Gates gave us all kind of the Iowa code of, for us newbies, because I've never been on a school board, hey, what are the duties? And the duties are basically to legislate, to set up school policies, to evaluate current school programs, and there's an executive duty to pick the school superintendent. I think all that's important, but I would just finish with, I think it's very important to listen to parents and be responsive. Thank you.
I think the first role of the school board is education, our students' education, and our staff development. I think it's a role of advocacy, both on the local and state level, fiscal responsibility, creating a district culture, one of support, pride, vision, planning. Where do we want to see ourselves in a year? Where do we want to see ourselves in 5 years? Where do we want to see ourselves in 15 years? And what do we need to do now to get there? I think as a school board member, it's about representing the community and not yourself, about being that voice. And I think it's also a position of humility. Right? I've been attending these meetings for the past 5 years, and I've had kids in the district for the past 5 years, but I'm not the expert. I think our staff is. And I think it's important to practice a sense of humility, a place of curiosity, really learn what are they experiencing on a day in and day out basis. And then how do we meet those needs with the community opinion? Because I can come in and guess what would be best, but that probably isn't going to go well. And so again, humility and curiosity.
I believe a school board member is a leader of the organization and should as such demonstrate leadership qualities, one of which is knowing what roles and responsibilities they're there to perform and which ones they're not. Boards are typically mostly meant to provide high-level oversight to organizations. For example, they should be the ones to develop a policy, typically not there to enforce that policy. That should be left up to the administration, the principals and teachers in the schools. Tasks such as in the weeds should be left to the administration. I also believe a good school board member should be able to effectively communicate with other teachers, board members, the public. Again, listen to the parents, respect their opinions, develop a vision for the future of the school, and put aside any kind of differences that they may have on topics or people or subjects. That's all.
I think most importantly, school board member needs to be receptive to individuals within the community and the school board, in the school district. I think being an open and active listener is probably one of the most important roles of a school board member, and understanding that we all are going to have different opinions a lot of the time, different perspectives, and that's actually a really positive thing. That's how we grow, that's how we learn, that's how we get better. I also think that being committed and understanding your commitment to the school board, to the school district, and to the community, and why you are serving in that role and staying committed to why you are there. I also think that it's really important to be seen out in the community and at events and be really approachable so people can come up to you and express any concerns or any ideas. And I think it's really important to be approachable just in that position. And then ultimately just continuing to focus on what's best for the school district and for the students, and staying true to that and trying to make sure that you're focusing on the advancement and the longevity of everyone in the school district.
School board members are a link between the community and the administration. We provide a voice to guide the district and to guide the administration and guide the staff. In my opinion, a good board should be diverse in its thinking. It should be a board that exists of many different people from many different walks of life and thoughts and opinions and ideas. But at the end of the day, once a decision is made, all of that conversation should happen and bring you to a decision. And if it's not my personal opinion on the matter, but it's the board's collective opinion on the matter, once we move forward, that's we move forward united. And I feel like that's something that our district has done really, really great over the years of all my kids being part of this district. Is you hear of school boards, like Karen had said earlier, getting into heated arguments and things like that. But being united is something we can all do, regardless of our individual opinions. Also working to set goals for the district, for the administration, giving the superintendent positive feedback on, things that are happening in the district and things that need improvement. So he knows where to go and how to guide his ship. And then also on top of that is we're all here to do what's best for the kids. So at the end of the day, making those hard choices, whether you agree with them or not, in the mindset of what's best for those kids.
Okay, well, this concludes our little school board forum. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for joining us and answering questions. It's not easy to stand up here and talk in front of you folks and all the folks at home. So thank you very much for your participation. Get out and vote. And that's it. That's all we have tonight. Thank you.